If you want to get into brilliant aerial pictures and video with a drone, it can be a pretty daunting and confusing task to balance the money you pay out against what will work best for you. So today I'm going through 4 of DJI's top beginner-friendly drones: the DJI Neo, the Mini 4K, the Mini 3 and the DJI Flip. They're very different drones with some very different pros and cons, but if you're starting out with your first drone, this video will hopefully tell you all you need to know to help make your choice. Hello, I'm Ian and I play with drones, and as you can see I have plenty of different models which I use depending on where I'm flying and what I'm trying to do. Now, a few months ago I did a more detailed video on the main features of pretty much all of DJI's sub 250 gram drones. I'll do a link to that now so you can take a look, but for today I just want to focus on 4 very different models, each of which would make a great drone to start off with, or to have as a spare if you're already flying one of the larger models like I've got up there. All 4 of these are good value, and being under 250 grams have fewer regulations in most countries and are allowed to fly in way more places than heavier models. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos, you may have seen me talking about my favourite sub 250 gram drone, the Mini 4 Pro. This is also the most expensive model as well, so I'm not going to focus on it today, even though if you can stretch to it, then in my opinion it is very much the best sub 250 gram drone out there at the moment. So for today, let's get straight down to the 4 that I have got in front of me now. All of them come with a gimbal mounted camera, which means the video will stay smooth and steady even as the drone is bouncing around in flight. And all of them have fairly decent prices, which I guess is a main consideration for most beginners. But keeping in mind, most models come with different package options. So some will have different styles of remote control and others will have different accessories like extra batteries or carry cases. So let's first off start with the DJI Neo. This was released in late 2024 and was a very different style of drone for DJI. It's a mix of part camera drone that you fly with an app on your phone or with a standard remote control, but it's also part FPV drone, which stands for first person view, and it's flown with goggles like these and either an FPV controller or the motion controller. And the goggles give you a live feed of what the drone is seeing, and it's a very, very immersive way of flying. Now, Neo is easily the smallest, lightest and lowest price of all 4 drones. So considering it has got a wide range of ways to fly, it's already kind of in the running for best beginner drone, I think. It starts off at just £169 or $199 for the drone only option, which really is the cheapest DJI drone you're going to get. That price option, it has no remote control, so you're going to be forced to fly it either using its pre-programmed selfie functions or with your smartphone, which admittedly will reduce its range. You can get the next package up that comes with 2 extra batteries and a basic remote control that you need to connect to your smartphone to provide the screen for you to see what's going on. That option is £299. At the moment in the US though, you have to buy the remote controls separately as you can't get that same full combo at the moment. But either way, this is the cheapest way to get, if you like, a normal camera drone with a normal DJI remote and to learn to fly like pretty much any other DJI drone. So it is a great option for beginners. It's got a follow me mode to track and follow you around when you're walking or cycling, and it's got a range of pre-programmed quick shots that let you focus on yourself and let the drone fly around you by itself to get some pretty cool video clips. And these can be obtained without any remote control or phone control, just by selecting and starting the drone up using the little mode selection button on the drone itself. Now, I mentioned FPV, where you wear a mask that has got built-in screens, and it lets you control the drone with either the joystick style motion controller that you can see here, which is a very, very cool way to fly the drone, or a proper FPV remote itself. So to be clear with the Neo, if you get the separate RCN3 remote and you also get the goggles and the motion controller, then you can fly it like a normal camera drone, and you can also fly it as a full-on FPV drone. So you really do get the best of both worlds. But of course, if you're then getting all of these accessories, the price stacks up, and I think you'll be paying around £500 for all of those accessories. As with everything, all the extras soon stack up. But if you do want a super basic bargain drone, you won't get cheaper than the drone-only option of the Neo. But there are a couple of downsides to the Neo that you also need to keep in mind. First off is the noise. It is easily one of DJI's noisiest drones, and arguably their most annoying too. Its high-pitched whine will annoy anyone within 500 metres or yards of you, and you will not be popular. The flight time isn't great either. You're going to get around 13-14 minutes of real-world flight time, although it is pretty quick to charge up again, and spare batteries are not that expensive. It's not that fast to fly, and it can be blown off course if it's quite windy. It doesn't have obstacle avoidance, but if you do crash, it's unlikely to be badly damaged. It's got very tough little body, and it's got the prop guards as well. So it's not going to be too bad if you do crash, as long as you don't smash the camera. Speaking of which, the camera, it's the lowest quality of all DJI drones. Now, to be clear, it's still a great camera, especially for the price. And if you're a beginner, then I think you're going to be more than happy with the pictures and the high definition video that you're going to get with it. But these other models have got better cameras for not a lot more. So I guess that probably brings me on to the Mini 4K. Now, this was a new version of the Mini 2. It was previously known as the Mini 2. So it is an older model, but with a slightly upgraded camera that was launched last year in 2024. Basic package of one drone, one battery, and the basic remote that you connect your smartphone to, this style of remote. It is £269 or $299, making it one of the cheapest options to get a standard camera drone and a standard remote. The body is pretty similar to the rest of the Mini series, Mini 3 and Mini 4, and with that comes a longer flight times of around 25 minutes, faster flight speeds, and better performance when it's windy. Again, there is still no obstacle avoidance, and if it does crash, you are far more likely to damage the camera and the gimbal, so that is a consideration you do need to keep in mind. The camera is slightly better than the Neo, but only just. It's a similar sized camera sensor, 1/2.3 inches, but it does allow you to film up to full 4K ultra high definition. Unlike the Neo, there is no option to control the Mini 4K by a smartphone. It really cannot give you a true FPV experience either, and it certainly can't be flown by pressing any buttons on it. It needs a remote every single time you fly. Despite not having any obstacle avoidance and no follow me modes, it does still have the same range of quick shots for the semi-automatic selfie clips. But as said, you have to use a remote every single time you fly. Crucially though, it is much quieter than the Neo. It's got the standard props that you see on all the Mini types of remote, including the very quiet Mini 4 Pro. So I guess you could say it's around the same price of the Neo, way quieter, longer flight time, faster speed, better performance in wind, but it can only be controlled with a remote control, so you don't get any smartphone direct control either. It can film in 4K, but its camera is very similar to the Neo, which is kind of okay, but not great, I suppose. So I suppose that would then lead me straight on to the Mini 3, which is very similar to the Mini 3 Pro that you actually see here, but the Mini 3 doesn't have any obstacle avoidance. The Mini 3 Pro was recently stopped being sold by DJI, but the Mini 3 is still for sale. Now, compared to the Neo and the Mini 4K, Mini 3 has got a better camera. It's sporting the same size sensor as the top of the range Mini 4 Pro. And as such, it costs a bit more. The basic price for the drone, single battery, and the basic remote control that you connect your smartphone to comes in at £339 or $419, which, considering the camera you're getting, isn't a bad price at all. But with the Mini 3, you also get the option of an upgraded remote control with a built-in screen, which for me is a huge, huge improvement on flying. There's no need to connect your smartphone, and it is way faster when firing everything up. But that upgraded remote will add over £100, bringing the basic package price up to £459 or $549. Mini 3 has a few extra features though over the Neo and the 4K. Not only do you get a larger sensor as found, as I said, on the Mini 4 Pro, but you also get a longer flight time of around 30 minutes in real world flying. And you get more camera functions as well, like HDR video, true vertical shooting, and stills in both JPEG and RAW. Again, like the Mini 4K though, it's easily damaged if you crash it, and it still has no obstacle avoidance and therefore no true active track or follow me mode. But it does have the same set of quick shots as the Neo and the 4K. And like the Mini 4K, there is no option of controlling this with just your smartphone or direct control. You always have to use the remote control every single time you fly. Which brings me on to DJI's newest release, the DJI Flip. This was another completely different design for DJI small drones. It's obviously got large propellers housed in these permanent prop guards. The prop guards cannot be removed. As you unfold it, it will power up automatically. As you would expect with such a different design, there are some very real pros and cons with this new model. First off, the price. It comes with a Drone Plus basic remote control package, a fairly decent price, £369. $439, so just a bit more than the Mini 3. Like the Mini 3 though, you can upgrade to a better remote, but you have to upgrade to the RC2 remote, and that adds a fairly chunky £180, which takes it up to £549 or $639. Like I said, it's a bigger step up because the RC2 remote is the newer version of the type of remote with a built-in screen that works with more premium models like the Mini 4 Pro and the Air 3 and Air 3S. Like the Neo, the Flip can be flown without any remote control whatsoever though, by selecting the pre-programmed flight modes that you've got on the little flight button here. You can also control it by your smartphone using the DJI Fly app, as well as controlling it like a conventional drone using, as I said, obviously either the basic remote or the RC2 remote. The camera, it's very, very similar to the Mini 3 or the Mini 4 Pro. It's got the same 1/1.3 inch sensor giving you full 4K video, 12 genuine megapixel stills. Unlike any of the other drones though, you get some decent slow-mo video options, and you even get D-Log-M color mode for video. Like the Mini 3 though, of course you do get both JPEG and RAW for stills. It's also got the usual set of quick shots and follow me modes and basic active track. And again, unlike any of the other three drones, it does have forward obstacle avoidance. Now, some of you may have seen my other videos on this feature, and in truth, whilst it's not bad, it's not perfect either. Sometimes missing small twigs and also seeing false obstacles in misty conditions that cause the Flip to come to a sudden stop. But having obstacle avoidance does let you fly a little happier and more relaxed when using some of the follow me modes. And you can see here it was following me on my bike quite happily through a fair few overhanging branches. And of course, being able to fly the Flip without any remote control can be a huge bonus at times. And having a camera that's got similar specs to the Mini 4 Pro means you are definitely going to be happy with the results that the Flip gives you. So as long as the prop noise isn't too much of an issue for you, the Flip will give you some really great results with a camera that's almost the same as the Mini 4 Pro, but at half the price. Coming with built-in prop guards though, the Flip is going to be safer for low-level flying, and will probably keep flying if you hit a solid object because the props will not stop. So if you hit a wall at low speed, it's probably just going to bounce off and carry on flying. Equally though, unfortunately with prop guards, it is more likely to get stuck up a tree if it gets snagged on a twig. And unfortunately, prop guards always act like a bit of a sail in strong wind, so the Flip will blow off course far more easily if you're flying in strong wind. But for me, its biggest issue by far is its prop noise, which sadly is pretty much as loud and annoying as the little Neo. Which I think is a real shame, because despite its larger folded up size, it would otherwise be, I think, a really good beginner drone.
Will power off in 5 seconds. Press any button on aircraft to cancel.
Like I said, folded up, it's still considerably bigger than the other drones, but yeah, the prop noise stops it from being a brilliant all-round beginner drone in my opinion. So much like the other three, there are some very real pros and cons, and you need to have a little think about what is important to you. I mean, I guess we could kind of summarise here. The Neo, absolutely great value. Can be flown by itself using the preset flight modes, or you can use your smartphone or a remote control. It's got a number of self-flying, selfie-style shots. It gives you a full-on FPV experience, or you can just fly it like a normal camera drone. It's very tough. It'll survive most low-speed crashes. It's got a fairly short flight time, The camera isn't quite as good as the other drones, and it's possibly the loudest and noisiest of all DJI drones. Meanwhile, the Mini 4K, great value as well, and slightly better camera. You're going to be able to film in full 4K. It's faster, better in strong wind, and you'll fly longer and far more quietly than the Neo. But you will suffer more damage if you happen to crash. And if you do crash, you are probably going to have to send it off for repair. Also, again, like the Mini 3, you have to use a remote control every single time. There is no option of smartphone control with the Mini 4K. Likewise, the Mini 3, also great value, similar specs to the Mini 4K, but it's got a better camera and it lets you upgrade to a better remote control with a built-in screen. The camera is the same size sensor as the far more expensive Mini 4 Pro, and it has got the longest flight time of any of the drones here, over half an hour of real-world flying. But again, despite its faster, longer and quieter flying, you have to use a remote control to fly it, and if you do crash, it is going to be an expensive repair. So yeah, no smartphone connectivity whatsoever with the Mini 3. And then finally, you've got the Flip. Flip, larger size, decent flight time, built-in prop guards for safer flying, albeit easier to get it stuck up a tree. Obstacle avoidance can be a bit hit and miss, but at least it does have obstacle avoidance. And with that comes basic active track. And like the Neo, it can be flown directly without a remote control by using the pre-programmed buttons and gestures, if you like, of the drone itself, or it can be flown with your smartphone, or it can be flown with a remote control. But as I said, even folded up, it is not a pocket drone in my opinion. And sadly, like the Neo, its biggest drawback is that prop noise, which again will quickly alienate you from any other people in your vicinity. So, what is my final take? Well, if you're not too worried about noise or top-notch camera, then to me the Neo is probably the cheapest, most fun drone out there with a variety of different ways to fly it, and crucially, it will probably fly again if you crash it. If you're after a decent camera though, faster, longer flight times and quieter flights, then the Mini 3 stands out to me as a very, very good buy. And if you're lucky enough to come across the Pro version with the obstacle avoidance, then I would absolutely try and grab that, because there's actually very little difference between the specs between the Mini 3 Pro and the much more expensive Mini 4 Pro. So as I said, if you can get hold of a Mini 3 Pro, even if it's second hand, maybe grab that. The Flip, very much a Marmite drone, which I guess for viewers around the world refers to an advert for the UK version of Vegemite. Basically means you're going to love it or hate it. But for all of these models, I would literally say take a look at what's good and bad, but crucially, what's important to you, then make your choice. So there we are. I may not have chosen any one particular model, but hopefully you now know enough to help make your mind up. And if so, always good to give me a little thumbs up, help the video along, and maybe let me know what you think of the differences between these different models. Drop a little comment in the comments below, because what's annoying to some may be brilliant to others. So let me know what works for you. Either way, as ever, until next time, have fun, happy flying.